Hello guys, great to see you again. This is the second one of our Praxis videos. If you missed the first, do go back and watch it. It's still up on YouTube. And if this is the first time you've caught one of these, basically, every week what we're going to be doing is just sharing a spiritual practice from the life of Jesus that we hope we can kind of embed in our lives, try out, give a go, that will help us just go deeper and experience more of the fullness of life and the hope that Jesus brings at this time. Today, the practice I want to share with you is a bit of a new one to me. In some ways it's an obvious one, but I think sometimes we just don't frame it like this, and so therefore we don't do it. But the practice is called yielding, or kind of letting go. And I've kind of nicked a load of this. All the best ideas are always from someone else, but these are from John Mark Comer from Bridgetown Church, from a podcast he did a couple of weeks ago. So feel free to listen to that, but know that I have shamelessly plagiarized a lot of this as a kind of bit of a disclaimer. I just want to start with a scripture from Matthew 8. Jesus calms the storm. It says, "Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, 'Lord, save us, we're going to drown.' He replied, 'You of little faith, why are you afraid?' Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm." The disciples are in a storm. I wonder at the moment whether you're in a storm. Maybe that's one of economic uncertainty with work. Maybe that's one of social isolation. Maybe there's some other worry or trouble or situation that you're in right now. We all have storms. They're a reality of our life. And if you're anything like me, I think you probably respond in the natural human way. And the natural human way is to worry and to try and control things. And often, like, storms are things that are kind of just out of our control. We can't practically do anything to change it. It's just happening to us and we're caught in the midst of it. But if you're anything like me, you still try and control it. You kind of still think it through and it's on your mind all the time, and you go to bed thinking about it and you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it, and first thing in the morning you're thinking about it, because if you hold it in your head, like maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to do something about it. We try and control it and we just end up worrying and making ourselves anxious and just tiring ourselves out. And this is exactly what the disciples were doing. There's this storm, they can't do anything about it. They're caught in the middle of it and they're panicking. It's like, oh my gosh, we're going to die. This is awful. And Jesus is sleeping. And they come to Jesus and they're like, what are you doing? Like, come on, wake up. There's a storm. Can't you see? And Jesus is like, why are you so afraid? What's Jesus saying? Jesus isn't saying, guys, what are you on about? There's no storm. He's not saying, the storm's not a big deal, just get over it, come on. And that's not what he's saying to us. Jesus isn't saying the storm's not a problem. He's not saying the storm's not a reality. But what he's saying is, why are you so afraid? In other words, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what this storm does to you. You're going to be okay. Why? Because you're with me. Because you're with me. And that doesn't mean that things are necessarily going to turn out well. It doesn't necessarily mean things are going to go the way you like, but it means that regardless of what happens, you'll be okay, we'll be okay, because we have Jesus. And this is where this practice of yielding or letting go comes in. And what this practice looks like is, it looks like just daily, or as these things come, as these storms, as these worries, as these things we try and control come, we just, in prayer, yield them, hand them over, let go of control that we never had. You know, we've got to let go of the illusion of control, to quote the podcast I listened to, and just give these things over to Jesus. We can't control them anyway. We're not in control anyway. So let's hand them over to him in prayer and allow him to remind us that we're going to be okay because we're with him, Because again, to quote this podcast, like, you know, we're not going to be happy because we manipulate the circumstances of our life to some kind of desired end. We'll be happy, we'll be content because we're with Jesus and because we grow in our awareness of that reality. And for many of us, and I include myself fully in this, the fact that that sounds so ridiculous and so believable. It's like, well, how can I, Jesus enough, really? Like, come on. But what if I got sick? What if this happened? What if I lost my job? What if, the finances don't turn out the way I think? I find that so impossible to believe that it will be okay if I just have Jesus, but that's the truth. That's why we need this practice. And so this week, as these things come, lift them to him in prayer, yield control of them to him. Maybe just before you go to bed with the kids, maybe you just want to get them to just share what are the things that are troubling you at the moment, and just together hand them over to Jesus, let go of control, yield it to him, and allow him to remind you that he is with you. And so come what may, in sickness, in health, in plenty, in lack, we'll be okay because we have him. So let's give this a go this week and see what God might do in our lives as we practice this. Join us again next week. I'm going to be sharing another practice. Have an amazing week. See you soon.